What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik. I am a Forbes contributor as well as a YouTuber and sports gaming aficionado. And I have the pleasure of speaking with someone that I've actually known for a few years. We've kind of crossed paths a few times at different events, mostly NBA 2K or maybe a few other games. But it's Doug Veney. And I hope I pronounced his last name right, because I just realized I never said your last name out loud before.
Yeah, it's Veney. No one ever gets it right the first round.
Okay, well, I always like to be different. But he's also known as GoodGameBro on YouTube. And I've had an opportunity, it's been my pleasure to watch the growth of his channel. I remember when he first started it, and and just see where it grew. I think I just checked, it was like over 190,000 subscribers, and just produces really cool content. We're kind of similar style gamers. We both like the franchise modes and stuff. So it's really cool. But he's also been able to kind of grow this thing into more than that. So that's kind of why we're here. We're here for him to kind of talk about that and how he's just expanded this from a business standpoint.
Yeah. So, thanks for the great introduction. I appreciate that. As you kind of pointed out, I've been doing YouTube and Facebook gaming for a while now. And it's done really well. But for the past 3 years, I've been in Nestle. I essentially run the influencer marketing arm for them. And whether that's basically from the start of the campaign all the way through the final execution, making sure they're mapping with the right influencers, finding the right influencers, making sure they're activating them in a way that works both for the brand and for the content creator too. So it's been a heck of a journey for sure.
Yeah, man, it's really awesome to see people turn a gaming and as well as YouTube presences into so many other opportunities. The world is so different now than the way it used to be in regards to the way people can kind of put themselves on. So tell me, you mentioned something that I thought was pretty interesting, making sure that Nestle is partnering with the right kind of influencers. Now, obviously, every brand is a little different, right? But with you being a person of influence in that particular role, what would you say is like some of the key components in regards to looking for the right type of influencer, at least for the Nestle brand?
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing when you're working with a company like this is you want to make sure there's brand safety. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that the person you're presenting in front of them hits a lot of different areas, but is also going to be someone that they can trust and work with for a long period of time. A lot of what I sort of try to bring to the company is just not doing things in a very short-term mindset, but looking at, okay, maybe we're activating a short-term capacity, but long-term, can we do something that lasts for 9 or 12 months with this person and then re-up with them if we have a great working relationship? And so we try to find, obviously, number one is brand safety, but we try to make sure that they're sort of a key opinion leader in their respective field. They create engaging content, that they have really a love for the brand. You've been doing this long enough where you see people that do endorsement deals, whether it's an athlete or an influencer or even a gaming content creator. And if they don't have a real love or appreciation for that brand, it comes off as not so good.
Yeah.
And I really try to make sure that not everyone is going to love every product and insanely a good amount, but I try to make sure that if we're getting in someone, they at least love a type of product in that field. And we're educating them on, why does this product stand out more so than another product, and make sure there's like a good admiration. Because at the end of the day, I don't want someone to do something if they don't love it, because it's going to show and it's not going to look good on either side at the end of it.
Yeah. I can think of a few cover athletes in the past for a couple video games, and I'm like, you don't really play this game, do you, bro? So it's kind of, definitely, I can see that. The gaming community is very astute when it comes to picking up on authenticity, and you do not get away with it if you don't really fool around in their particular demographic. If you don't get it, they know you don't get it, and they don't buy you. So it's just kind of the way it is. So talk about some of the projects or the campaigns that Nestle is currently working on, or maybe that you're currently kind of spearheading.
Yeah, I think if I had to choose a favorite one, it's been one that was kind of recent. DK Metcalf, right? He's a 6'5". I don't know what his weight is, but he's got similar body build to myself, obviously.
Oh yeah, of course.
I like to tell myself, but he really had a genuine love for Nesquik. And one of our community managers, Gabby, did a fantastic job of sort of identifying that, and he was DMing him back and forth. And once he was out of the college ranks and was going to the NFL draft, we just sort of try to talk to him a little bit and say, hey, we'd love to see if there's something maybe mutual that works here. And both him and his agent were fantastic, and we worked out a really cool deal. And it's my favorite project because I always want to do cool, unique things, right? And so what we were able to do is, with his deal with Under Armour, I talked to his reps, and we have a fantastic designer, Emily, on our team, and she created custom Nesquik cleats for him with the model of Under Armour cleats that he wears. And when I saw them, I knew immediately. I was like, these are incredible. So we had like an artist out of the DMV area, sort of in Maryland, do a hand painted version of what our designer Emily did, and it led to a larger sort of partnership with him, where obviously look at his social media, he's talking about Nesquik quite a bit, but it really goes back to we're finding people that have genuine loves and connections with the product, and making sure that it again feels good for them from a partnership standpoint, but also with us. And I think if you look at some of his NFL draft stuff, he had like strawberry milk lined in his jacket. The game against the Browns a couple of weeks ago, he had Nesquik socks actually on. If you look at the Getty photos, so
Yeah,
it's just a cool thing, and it's been one of my favorite ones we've done so far.
yeah, just constant. And I think a lot of people don't really kind of get that. Like they don't understand that that constant placement of a product, how important that is to a brand. Had I really thought about it, I would have had like a bottle of Nestle water sitting up here with me. So maybe I could have got a brand deal to hold some
You messed
Nestle
up,
water.
man. You messed up.
I didn't do it. I didn't think about it. And it's funny because I actually have some Nestle water downstairs. I could have. You gotta maximize, man. You gotta
Next
maximize.
time. Next time.
So, in the gaming space, though, what is it? Because you're the one of the manager or the leader there for esports influencers as well, right?
Yep.
So talk about some of those campaigns that you have in place.
Yeah, I think we've done a lot. Whether it's from I helped sort of the Cavs and Hot Pockets come together with their partnership for the 2K League, doing Cavs Legion and Hot Pockets deal. We worked on that. I've also, a lot of the 2Hype guys, right? So Chris London, an incredible content creator, started out on 2K and now does more in real life basketball.
Yeah.
He's working with DiGiorno, which is a really cool deal. One of my favorite creators, I don't know if you know who Legion is, Jordan Payton. One of the funniest people I think on the planet. What he's doing with DiGiorno is incredible. I literally just actually had a presentation a couple of days ago where I put together a slide of him, and he's wearing like a pizza hat, and he did like a 90s photo, the 90s photos where you have like one you looking at the camera and then the side profile like faded in the background.
Yeah.
He recreated sort of one of those, but I think my favorite thing is just whether it's DiGiorno or Hot Pockets or Nesquik or any of the other brands that I sort of work with, helping them understand, and a lot of the marketers, they're so intelligent, but showing them sort of that gaming isn't this 30-year-old dude sitting in his basement anymore with low lights or whatever. It's such an incredible industry with so many talented people. And it's not just, they aren't just gamers anymore, right? You have people that are gaming in lifestyle or gaming in fitness or a myriad of other different things, and sort of exposing them to that world, and them saying like, this person would be a great person for our brand, a great ambassador for our brand. It's been one of my favorite things to do, is connect them with those people.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because I know that one of the articles and one of the things that kind of jumped out is how Lizzie Capri was able to kind of like quit a day job and go from a YouTube creator and become, just a brand and a presence in her own right. And you're well on your way to doing that. And from a business standpoint, it's really important for people who are maybe already working in the YouTube space right now or in the gaming space to understand that you might be a vlogger only today, or you might be somebody who only has 1,000 subscribers today, but there are so many different careers in which you can branch out into. And like you said, being a gamer and being in that space is not, all of those stigmas that used to go with that, they don't apply. They really don't. And they really come from a place of a lack of awareness because people are not realizing what their resources are. So how when you linked up with Nestle, how did that relationship launch?
Yeah, it was great. So actually how it started is I was in Virginia at the time. I was working for Rosetta Stone, the language company. I'd been there for 5 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And my boss at the time, or I had a great boss at Rosetta Stone, but my boss that was at Nestle, my prospective boss, Justin, used to work at EA Sports. He did incredible work with him, so I'd known him over the years, and he basically said like, "Hey, I'm starting a team in Cleveland, Ohio," and I'm like, "Cleveland, really, Cleveland?" But
Cleveland
he is.
rocks, man. Cleveland rocks.
I've grown to love this place. Oddly enough, he sort of told me like, I'm putting together a team. I want to build a dream team, and I think you'd be a great fit for it. He had another guy that I already knew, Kevin, who I'd worked with from a social media standpoint. And it was just one of those things where I thought I've always wanted to work for Justin. Kev has been a close friend of mine, and he's incredibly talented. And I thought if I could go work with both of them, that's where I want to go. And I talked to my wife about it. We had just been married, and we were up for a move, and it was perfect timing, essentially. But really, it was just about checking with him to make sure that I could still do my content creation at Nestle from a work-life balance standpoint. From Nestle even being okay with that, and they were very receptive to it. But the early days are really cool. There wasn't a lot of people doing gaming related things here, and that was sort of where my expertise came in. So meetings were kind of like you have to feel out people a little bit where you're talking about things. You're like, "What do you guys think about gaming?" They're like,
right.
You sell them in, but people here have been incredibly receptive, and I think it shows in a lot of the campaigns that we do for sure.
Yeah, man, it's really it's so awesome to understand, and you start to see, and this is such an exciting time from a gaming to um from an introduction. We're in an introduction, we're still in an introductory period with gaming as it relates to connecting it to major businesses that are not necessarily gaming businesses.
Sure.
A lot of people in these positions and in these places are not gaming experts, and they're looking for people who are. And so often you're able to leverage yourself as that if you just are aware. And it really sounds like that's what kind of happened with you.
Yeah, I think a lot of times what I've been able to tell marketers too a lot of times is that you're looking at content creators, looking at gamers. These are people that are in front of a camera literally all day, whether they're
Yes.
streaming for a short 4-hour stream, which 4 hours is not short, but in the gaming world it is short, or doing a 12, 16-hour stream. They're in front of a camera. They are the most adaptive people out there. If you've ever live streamed, which I know you have, the chat as they're saying things, you got to be on your toes. You got to be able to play the game. You got to be able to focus, but you have to be entertaining too. They're used to taking something very difficult to do and make it incredibly interesting for long periods of time. So what I tell them is if we're asking them to do a piece of content that's maybe 10 to 15 minutes long, they're going to crush that because that's extremely easy in comparison to what they've had to do. And it's the same way that we've used celebrities of the past when they were doing influencer work, which they're still valid and valuable, but content creators are doing just as much, if not more, camera work than them on a daily basis.
Yeah, and being seen by more people because of the internet and social media. So
Yeah,
it's something, man. It really is. And I think that one of the reasons why I felt like this was an important conversation to have and an important thing to share is because I always think about kids, and I always think about young people, and I always think about people who are in situations where they think that what they're into cannot be their livelihood, and they think that they have to hate their job, and they don't realize that the two things can be interrelated to the point where it's like, yeah, I really love doing this, and this is how I feed my family. And so I think that's just so important because options are everything.
I agree.
Options are everything. So it's really cool. So you did something really awesome. Speaking of kids, I saw this, and this is actually kind of what prompted or initiated this conversation that you and I are having. I mean, we talk here and there,
Sure.
over the years and stuff, just about gaming and stuff. But you and David iPod King Carter, and a few other Facebook streamers I saw at St. Jude. Now, I'll just let everybody know, I have lost an incalculable amount to cancer. So it is a thing for me. And so when I see people doing things in that space, it makes an impression on me. And I know that it makes an impression on the people who do the work. So I saw you doing that. So I really want to hear you explain and tell us how that was set up, how, if that made an impact on you, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, dude, it's even now it gives me sort of like chills thinking about it. I think so. Last year I did 2 streams for St. Jude on Facebook Gaming. I think I raised roughly $20,000 in total. My
Mercy.
community was incredibly passionate, and it was just an awesome, couple of streams. And I met up with the St. Jude Play Live team, which is sort of like their gaming arm, when I was at PAX East, and they were like, "Hey, we loved what you did. We would love to just sort of like, get you more ingrained in St. Jude and have you down, maybe at some point in the future." And I'm like, absolutely. Like, I would love to. Because what was cool is that when I did the charity stream, they didn't just say like, thanks for doing it. They sent me a ton of information. They sent me PDFs. They sent me videos of like, here's more about it. So for maybe for your second stream, if you want to talk, even more about a specific piece, or show people like, if you donate X amount, or if we raise X amount, that can help someone with this type of treatment. The information they have is mind blowing. So, like you mentioned, I went down with, iPod King Carter and, Bud, and there was a lot of other content creators down there too. And you walk in the door, and there's this thing that a lot of people say is that it feels like more so like Disney than it does an actual hospital. And it takes you aback. It's not one single time that I feel like I was in a hospital. From the murals they have on the wall of kids that have, eye patches, or maybe they're an amputee, or maybe they're, they have a bald head because of, representing cancer. Every single kid there feels inclusive. Even the tables that the kids are sitting at when they're with their parents doing like any paperwork, or just any conversations with doctors, the tables and chairs are a kid's height, so that everyone is on the same level. The kids don't feel that they're just sort of like sitting down below an adult and they're a part of the conversation. But when you they take us through each part, and they talk about we have a school system, or kind of a school system built in, so from the scholastic or academic side, the kids aren't getting behind in their work. They can still do that and not fall behind a grade just because they were unfortunate having some terrible disease happen to them. Every single thing you could think of like, what if you did this? They're like, "Yup, we've got it." I've never felt it's emotional too when you're there. You're seeing kids and you're seeing families, and I've got a young daughter now too, and it literally just is one of those experiences that when you have it, it takes you back, man. It's remarkable.
Yeah, I more than I understand. So it is it's really amazing, man. It really is an awesome work to do, and it really is. And to think that gaming is what created that opportunity is such a special thing. If there were ever an instance and ever a story needed for people to hear, so that they could take gaming out of the overly simplified box that they have it in, that is one. So I think it's just fantastic, man. I would love to participate at some point. I would love to go, just on my own, not even as a part of a campaign. I would just love to just go. I know I have to put my big boy pants on that day, but I would love to go, because some things that are tough still need to be experienced.
Agreed.
Just is what it is. But that's all I got for you, Doug. Is there anything else that you want to make sure that people know about your journey, about these opportunities, about Nestle or your channels or what have you?
Sure. First of all, I just appreciate you having me. Obviously, it means a lot. I respect you a ton. So the fact that you took time out to do this is always super appreciative of that. For me, you can reach me basically at GoodGameBro on any social media. If you got questions, whether you're a current content creator that's doing well and you just got questions about how things work between like a company and an influencer, or you're an aspiring content creator and you just got questions about how certain things work, always happy to answer those. I try to get to as many things as I possibly can. I can't always, just because life is busy. But I always try to, give some sort of advice if someone is genuine about sort of their questions, for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, like I said, I do appreciate as well you taking the time to talk to me, and sharing this information. Is sometimes you're aware of something, but hearing people give like their, their testimony about it or talk about it is really still impacting. And so it definitely had that effect today. So like I said, I appreciate you watching. Appreciate everybody watching. Appreciate your time. And thanks a lot.